I illustrated this by sharing the story of the mom who just told her kid to just, don't cause drama. I don't know if you read that part. So when the child, and I'll put it on the recording, when the child said, Mom, hey, this game was played in school, the mom, a Spanish speaker, immigrant demographic, was just like, hey, whatever, like paraphrase, stay under the radar. I don't want to hear they're causing drama. Teachers should be respected. So if you guys know that you are serving families that want to stay under the radar, then how is it that we're going to, depend on families to come and seek out counseling from the school and from the school team leadership? When I approached Miss Lee about this, she's like, oh, this is the first I've heard of this. But then why was I the first person? Well, how come it was me that went? Families don't feel comfortable, obviously, coming to you all about things like this, except for, I guess, me, unless others did, and I wasn't told that, which I never asked, but she volunteered that nobody else would come. So he also said that in accordance with your concern about each family's literacy, cultural, and language needs listed in the remedy, and in your appeal conference, a flyer will be sent home to families in English and Spanish to remind families of counseling services. So again, of counseling services available at KIPP, and how to request those for themselves and for their student. Was it the specific game? Was it sexualization? Was there an apology to the family? I don't know what was written. I don't know. You were going to say something.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a couple more clarifying questions. Are you looking to see what consequences were given to the teacher that did this? Are you looking to see? Are you looking to find more clarity on was it sexual education or both?
I have clarity that it was sexual education. Whether or not you guys agree that sexual education was provided, I have clarity that it was sexual education. The requested remedy, do I need to know whether a teacher was fired or not? I guess, like, if we're not students there, I don't know if it's even in my wheelhouse to know. But when you bring something like this up and you provide answers like human resources got it, then explain that. Yeah, so it would be nice if you all did, but can I, is that a right that I have as a parent without a student there now, since my child was withdrawn? I don't necessarily know. But that, but I don't like the fact that I'm getting told we're, giving you these remedies that you're not, so.
Yeah. Let me say a couple of things, and I know, I'm probably going against protocol. One, I'm sorry that your student is unenrolled at Bulgaria. I do think, besides this incident, that Bulgaria is shown to be a pretty formidable school academically, and so I'm sorry that we lost your trust there. Truly am. And the second thing that I'll say is that there are laws and protections for students and for personnel, just as you know, any employee laws, that you are not to give out details of any personnel type consequences that happen. That I want to say that, but there are still ways that we need to work with our families and community around things that are sensitive and upsetting to parents. So that's what I'll say, at least right now. It's on record, obviously, because it's being recorded. But I wanted to give you that personalization because I felt that, it's important for me to really explain that. They're not, at least from what I understand, they're not trying to hide anything around what they can share. And I also wanted to give the personalization is that I'm sorry that we lost your trust with your student. And you as a parent had to make another choice, a difficult choice, to find other education opportunities for your student.
So, and I hear that, and I appreciate you being the first person to apologize about that. But I'm a parent with a voice. We have a slightly different, maybe background. My daughter went to KIPP because she has health issues that have made her her educational vulnerabilities, the disadvantage, right? And so why am I the one that, why did it take someone else to bring this up? Why is this and I'm not saying like me, we're not exceptional, but I don't, I expected an open-minded school. I didn't expected her learning about hookers and social emotional learning. And if other parents,
thank you for that question. I can't answer it right now at this point. I would love to be able to answer it for you. I honestly cannot. And the only thing, I have a psychology background that I would say is that, sometimes people make decisions that are different than maybe what is expected of them.
I think what it is that sometimes people don't have the tools to make the decisions that are different. So if a person doesn't have the empowerment, which is ironic because of the school name, to say like, I'm going to defend my child, they may not have the words or the education for it, or they may not even know that they have the right to do it. Like, that's where this is coming from. It's not coming just because somebody chose not to do something differently than me. It's because the families are trying to stay off the radar, and that was very clear to me when innocently my daughter was like asking her friend, like, hey, did you ever talk to your mom? And that represented, it really did. We know that the parents that KIPP is serving need more. And I asked that in my next thing. I asked the instant transparency to parents about the school-sponsored teaching of slurs, derogatory words, and immoral activity, with KIPP's transparency matching, keyword matching, parents' varied concept comprehension levels, being mindful of family literacy, cultural and language needs. I am Latina. I come from a culture that doesn't always speak up. I come from a culture that doesn't always, that really frequently yields to authority. So if I hear that my child may have a chance at going to college because they're being educated at a school that promises that, and then I hear on the side that they were exposed to something that's like, could be considered, isn't rape, but it is still groomer, but it's not like the worst type of groomer, then I might, as a person who just really wants to focus on the end goal, not say anything. Except, thankfully, I'm not that. But a lot of the parents in this demographic come fight or flight, and they just try to make it to the end. And KIPP knows that. Like, they're making a choice that's different than me. That's not, the psychology here is that parents don't have the tools, and KIPP knows that. And so here I'm asking for that, and what is the response? This was not part of the KIPP adopted curriculum. It was a total shrug off. It wasn't even like, oh, you know what, let's be mindful, right? That maybe parents don't have the tools, right? She said that this game is improper and that the matter was addressed to that extent the remedy is granted. No, it's not granted because I asked for y'all to do this relevantly, right? Number 2 response from Mr. Gray was, I uphold the decision of level 1. So he agrees with her. This was not school-sponsored teaching. It was not part of it. Again, it just kind of wipes off, like, we're not listening. They just are sticking to the script of it not being a school adopted curriculum. It was sexual education. Parents were not educated at the level that they understand. And it's sick because this was a game that was utilized. Whatever outcome was the outcome was grooming in a school, in a city where this is we all know, a sexual trafficking hub. Now kids think that it's funny and okay. And not to mention shooting a rifle in class. Like, in what brain does it fit that to have a role-playing game where a student, of course, it's cute, right? Oh, we're just shooting a bear. No, it's not cute. You're shooting another student. You're feigning to shoot another student, even though it's a game. Months away from Uvalde, 80 miles away from Uvalde. Like, the level of insensitivity and inappropriateness of this entire game is appalling, and it's not just. It's not a cute game. It's a serious game that goes against what I had read anyway was the moral backbone of KIPP.
Yeah, I thank you for raising all of those points. You've certainly given me a lot of information. I look forward to the transcript, or not the transcript, the video notes, or the voice notes of our conversation, and taking this into consideration as I, formulate my thoughts into a cohesive next steps and judgment on this. Because, I can assure you that don't take any complaint lightly or grievance, and I appreciate you as a parent raising it. And again, I truly am really sorry that we lost your trust, because that's not something that I ever want to do with any parent, regardless of their background, where they come from, how vocal they may be or not vocal. I want to be able to serve all of our parents and community with dignity and respect.